My advisory role at NIAC, which I used to have, is because I am an expert on religion and politics. So I advise the Plowshares Fund. I advise NIAC. I advise the fucking State Department. I advise actual Congress people who are making these decisions about what to do with Iran. I'm an expert in Iran, so I advise those groups. I have no loyalty or membership to NIAC. I'm not here to speak for NIAC.
To be fair, you don't advise the other side, though. You're strictly advising the progressive side. You're not advising
100%,
which they support the nuclear deal, which you support as well.
100% support the nuclear deal.
So you support negotiating with a nation that says "Marg bar Amerika," death upon America. You're comfortable negotiating with a country that hates us.
In this fiery debate, Reza Aslan completely shuts down Patrick Bet-David right on his own program when it comes to U.S. and Iran foreign policies and the effectiveness of diplomacy. Reza Aslan, who has an extensive understanding of the region, argues convincingly that negotiating with Iran isn't just some idealistic tactic. It's a calculated strategy that even global powers support. On the flip side, Patrick Bet-David is stuck on the idea that you can't engage diplomatically with hostile nations, pushing the narrative that sanctions or military action are the only viable routes. But Reza Aslan busts that myth wide open. Make sure you stick around till the end to catch Reza Aslan completely silence Patrick Bet-David on his own show, showcasing that diplomacy isn't just viable, but necessary.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who do we negotiate? We only negotiate with countries that love us? Is that how negotiations work? Have you heard of the phrase diplomacy?
But diplomacy,
there is no negotiation with a country that actually agrees with you.
But
we
question,
negotiate with countries that disagree with us.
I totally get that. But for the most part, the countries we negotiate with that disagree with us, they don't say death upon Americans. Iran says death upon Americans, the top of the Iran. This is not even the people in the streets.
Who gives a fuck? So what?
So give $150 billion? That's a valid concern. That's a valid question.
First of all, it's their money that we are releasing in exchange for removing nuclear weapons from Iran. How do you suggest we remove nuclear weapons from Iran, Patrick?
Okay, I have ideas for you.
I
can give it to you. Not to remove nuclear weapons. First of all, do you believe no matter whether we give them the money or not, they're not going to continue working on nuclear weapons?
They literally didn't. But hold on. Nope. We're not going to move past this until we establish the facts. The JCPOA, which was negotiated by the United States, Russia, China, the Security Council, and Germany, which is extraordinary. The idea that those 5 countries came together and the European Union and agreed on anything, let alone agreed on this absolutely remarkable deal under the Obama administration to remove all the enriched uranium out of Iran, there is zero doubt that that worked. Zero. The IAEA came out in no uncertain terms and said, within 12 months of that deal being put in place, Iran no longer had the enriched uranium to create a nuclear bomb. Within 12 months...
You have to be naive to believe that.
Okay.
You have to be,
right.
but fair enough. Let's buy into the naivete and move forward.
Okay,
let's just say you're right. Let's say you're right.
Let's not believe the people on the ground who are actually monitoring the nuclear plants.
To believe somebody that believes in the values that they do, yes, I don't believe that.
Reza Aslan makes it crystal clear. Diplomacy isn't just about interacting with countries that are already on friendly terms. It's essential for managing those who aren't. When we dive into the details of the Iran nuclear deal, the effectiveness is obvious. Within a year of the agreement, Iran drastically reduced its highly enriched uranium stockpile, a fact confirmed by the UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA. Patrick Bet-David throws around typical skepticism. Was Iran really sticking to the rules, or just playing along until they could break away? It's a reasonable query, but when you've got concrete reports from the IAEA that the deal was achieving its goals, that skepticism starts to wobble. The real issue extends beyond Iran's adherence. It's about whether the U.S. will maintain its commitments or abandon them, assuming that diplomacy with Iran is futile.
You would have chosen to come to...
I think you've got a nostalgia for the days of the Shah.
I don't have a nostalgia.
Me a lot of like Make America Great Again.
But this to me takes you back to why NIAC gets the criticism that it does. Because for you, you're saying give $150 billion to those guys, to Iran. It's their money. It's their money anyways. But you're saying it's their money anyways.
No, you're putting words in my mouth.
Begu.
We have 2 options with Iran's nuclear program. 2 options and nothing else. Two options, period.
We have a third option.
What's the third option?
I'll give you the third option.
Option one, we blow the shit out of it.
Okay.
Option two, we use negotiation and diplomacy. What's your third option?
Very simple. It's very simple what you do with option three. Option three is the same exact thing that happened in different nations. Iran is going through a potential revolution today.
Hold on. I want to make it clear.
Please.
I am talking about 2012. I am not talking about 2022. I have never said we should renegotiate the nuclear program now. You're asking me, did I support the JCPOA
versus today?
Today,
Well,
there's no country to negotiate.
Let me tell you.
But let me make sure
I'm glad you
before
clarified
Twitter
that.
loses its fucking mind.
I'm glad you clarified that.
I am not saying
Fair.
that
You're
we
going back
should
10
be
years.
negotiating
Fair.
now.
So then,
Was it right in 2012? 100%.
let me make
was
my
right.
point. Let me make my point on what I'm thinking, and I want to hear your rebuttal on this and your argument on this. For me, it's the following. Have you heard of John Perkins, the economic hitman guy, the author? He's a hardcore progressive.
yeah.
Very, very interesting guy. I had him on 2 times. I really like talking to that guy. And it's very interesting, his arguments, what they did, to cause nations to go down. Do you think the current model and the government today in Iran is good for its people and good for the world?
Fuck no.
Okay, fair. We're on the same page. So is it fair to say that if we can figure out a way to help the Iranian people, not the government, the Iranian people to cause a fall in Iran, that's probably a good, noble thing for us to do?
That has been my goal for 20 years.
Fantastic. Then if doing that, your mission of wanting to do that, which NIAC's mission is for the people, policy to help with the people, that doesn't align with the rulers and the president and the people that run Iran. You guys don't share a common value.
You disagree. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
So you're telling me the foreign minister Javad Zarif, like you're saying his ideal situation is to bring democracy to Iran?
No. What you're saying is, can we pursue policies in the United States to help the people of Iran? And have we been? My answer is we have not been. We have not. 40 years of blanket sanctions has not helped the people of Iran.
You know what won't take 40 years though? Hitting that like and subscribe button. So make sure to go hit it. It really helps the channel a lot.
It has only entrenched the government further, and there's reams of academic data that indicates that. The question is, does for instance, nuclear deal, the JCPOA in 2012, would that have helped the government or the people? And there is very good, real, meaningful arguments to be made that it would only help the government. I disagree, because there are much better arguments that it would only help people. Why? Goes back to your God, capitalism, the free market. The Iranian people live in an oppressive, murderous, theocratic regime. And as a part of American policy, we have decided that we're going to blanket sanction everyone in the hopes that eventually they'll rise up and take down their government.
No.
4 decades. 4 decades we've been doing that.
Patrick Bet David keeps pushing the idea that diplomacy is just about dealing with friends, but Reza Aslan quickly shuts that down. He clarifies that diplomacy's core is precisely about engaging with countries that aren't on friendly terms. Then, when Patrick dismisses the nuclear deal as ineffective, Reza comes back at him hard with solid facts. He points out that the IAEA confirmed Iran had indeed scaled back its enriched uranium supply. Patrick also tries to make a big deal out of the $150 billion, framing it as if the U.S. just handed over cash to Iran, but Reza corrects him, explaining that it was actually Iran's own frozen assets being returned. When Patrick looks for some mythical alternative to diplomacy, Reza lays out the stark reality. After 40 years of failed sanctions, the only practical options left are negotiation or war.
So if I negotiate with a murderer, you think he's accustomed to following the rules? If I negotiate with a nation, with a government like theirs, you think they follow what's in the contracts? There's
simple.
No way you believe that.
I understand that you have this mystical view of what the Iranian government is that exists in this kind of existential
I just
plane
listen
of
to what
evil.
they say. No, I just listen to what they say.
But they
You don't
are
think they're
actual
evil.
people who care about their own livelihood and they care about nothing else.
I do think they care about their livelihood. The government people care about their wealth. I do agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I'm talking about its people. That's what I'm talking about.
And what I'm saying is, Right now, we have nothing but the stick. We have no carrot at all in Iran. There's nothing the
You're
United
giving carrot
States
to the
can do.
wrong guy. You're giving carrot to the guy that's got plenty of carrots. He's
We're
been
giving-
overdosing on
We're
carrot.
giving carrot to the economy.
No, you're not giving a
Here's-
carrot to the
here's
economy.
here's how
Baby,
interdependent
I'm a
trade
Syrian Armenian.
relationships
I'm a
work.
Syrian and Armenian. Let me tell you what both sides will say. You ready? Here's a criticism. Here's a criticism both sides will say. And I want to wrap it up. We'll go off. If you're up for part 2, 3 hours, I'm up for bringing you back. You have no idea how much I've enjoyed. I'm being serious with
I'm being
you.
serious.
Okay. So I'll tell you this. Armenian Assyrian. Bet David, Bogosian. Bet David, Assyrian, Bogosian, Armeni. Okay? You know, every time when people say, hey, let me tell you what's going on. Send money to this charity. Send money to go help the Assyrians. How come you're not giving money here? And I'll send money. You know what both sides of my family will say? Never send money. You know why?
Because it goes to the wrong people.
Because it never goes to its people.
Yes.
You said it. You know this reputation. So if you and I are giving money, 150 billion to the government, we have to be naive to believe it's going to end up to its people. That's what I'm saying.
It's not going to end up to its people, and that's the
We're strengthening
JCPOA.
them.
It's something different.
Okay, anyway.
But hold on. I need to say one last thing, because if you probably know anything about me, you know that I get cut up and re-edited, and there's an entire industry online meant to make me look in a certain way.
That's not us. We don't do that.
I want to say something. I want to say a final word here, because it's very important.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this final word will make it. I have absolutely nothing but loathing for the Iranian government, for the Islamic Republic. It is a murderous, terroristic regime that slaughters its own children. It has no legitimacy whatsoever. It belongs in the dustbin of history. The only proper response of this current revolution, and it is a revolution, is not for reform. It's not for a little bit more rights. It's to burn the whole thing down and start all over again, and I wholeheartedly support that. The question is, how do we empower those young people? How do we give them the tools necessary in order to burn it down?
Okay.
Wrapping this up, Patrick Bet-David spent the entire debate insisting that negotiating with Iran is futile, while Reza Aslan continuously dragged him back to reality. Diplomacy isn't just about engaging with allies. It's crucial for dealing with adversaries. Patrick kept pushing the narrative that the U.S. was simply giving Iran money, but Reza swiftly countered by pointing out that it was Iran's own frozen assets that were released in exchange for nuclear compliance. Patrick also refused to accept that Iran complied with the nuclear deal, despite confirmation from the IAEA. Reza highlighted that sanctions haven't weakened Iran's government, but have instead made it stronger by isolating its people and enriching the regime. Meanwhile, Patrick kept circling back to the same failed strategies, seemingly unable to grasp that repeating the same actions for 40 years without results might not be the best approach. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments below.